Hi, Liz. Thank you for joining us. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, Jorge. Thank you for joining us. Can you hear me?
I
And
can hear you. Can you
Ashley,
hear me?
hi. Thank you for joining us. Can you guys see my screen?
I cannot.
I am sharing it, so can you or no?
I can't.
Okay.
I think what you're sharing, Sylvia, is the of the teams, so that's why it feels like we're not
Yeah,
sharing.
and I'm going to be moving things like around this way, so can you guys see all of that as I'm moving through windows?
No.
Okay, give me 1 minute.
Guys, we'll
Sylvia, it
start the
looks like
meeting in just a minute. We're just figuring out some tech stuff.
it looks like we can. Can you click to another tab just so we can test it? Yeah, we can see that, or I can see that.
I also can see that.
Okay, so it looks like we have quorum. So let's go ahead and begin. Sylvia, would you mind calling roll?
Yeah, Arif Mudin,
Here.
Sarah Porter,
Present.
Natalie Sanchez,
Here.
Chris Smith,
Present.
Charlene Bybee will be absent today. Jessica will be absent today. Paige Samples will be absent today. Elizabeth Flores,
Present.
Mackenzie Winklemeyer,
Present.
Ashley Daftery,
Here.
Jorge Montano,
Present.
and Annie Zucker.
Here.
You have quorum.
Great, thank you so much. Now on to item 1.03, the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Smith, would you mind leading us today? Thank you. And now we're going to move on to item 2.01. This is for action. This is an approval of the minutes for the October 13th meeting of the Safe and Healthy Schools Commission. I am looking for a motion. Commissioner Porter?
I'll move that we approve the minutes as is.
Excellent.
Seconded.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith. Any public comment?
No public comment.
Great. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Fantastic. We'll move on to item 2.01. This is for presentation and discussion only. This is from Dr. Lamarca. This is on the mental health trainings available to the Washoe County School District staff through partnerships with the Nevada Office of Suicide Prevention, Join Together Nevada, and other local, state, or national organizations. And I believe this is based on some of what was presented to us during our last meeting and a continuation to find out what is available to the district. Thanks, Dr. Lamarca.
Thank you. For the record, Paul Lamarca, Chief Student Services Officer. Can you flip to the next slide? So as you know, one of your goals, you have several goals as a commission, and one of them is around training. Ms. Zucker advocated for this last school year. We carried it forward this year. And so really, this is just an informational item. I want you to be aware of some of what is available. And maybe you can, or the commission can talk about some other things that are available that we can include. And we'll talk a little bit about how we've communicated it thus far out to staff. So within the school district, we have a sort of a professional growth system. It's called MyPGS. And within MyPGS, we have a catalog that has A through Z, everything we offer. Much of that is academically oriented, but there are a handful of trainings that are available around social emotional health. We have the Parent University. You've heard from Maria Fernandez. She's our new director. That's more of a platform for training or providing information to parents through schools. But again, through that avenue, there are a handful of social emotional health, mental health related trainings. And then we have a bunch of partnerships. And so we're going to highlight a little bit today some information from the Office of Suicide Prevention, which for a while was sort of not available, and now it is back up and available. Join Together Northern Nevada is a very good, strong partner of ours, and they have a number of things that are available to our staff, to our families. Obviously, we partner with Children's Cabinet in a variety of different ways. We've partnered with Renown on several different projects, and or individual pediatricians that are with Renown, and we have a number of partnerships with UNR, and that is not an exhaustive list. It's just a representative list. So these are, and you have an attachment that we can look at, and maybe that's what the commission should talk about. The ways so far we have been informing staff regarding training is through what we call department connections. And so this is a mechanism that we really use through our deputy superintendent, where we reach all schools every week. And so it was a little bit different, but very similar to the attachment you have. That, along with some other information, was provided to all principals, and it's provided to them for several weeks. We can update that anytime we want to. But the kind of like the preface information to that is, please share this with your coaches, with all of your staff members that have regular interaction with students, obviously with your teachers and administrators. So that's department connections. We post things on our website regularly, especially through family school partnerships. We have newsletters that go out to families, and that's also accessible to our staff, and that's another mechanism through which we're communicating training that's available. So again, I guess we could probably pull it up, but you received the attachment. What you have in here is on the first couple of pages, there are some descriptions of information of trainings that are available through the Office of Suicide Prevention, including Project Stay. The second couple of pages are trainings available through Join Together Northern Nevada. They focus on prevention, they focus on substance abuse, but some of their trainings also have generalization beyond that. You have a handful of the offerings that are within MyPGS, as well as some of the offerings that are through Parent University. So we just wanted to get this on your radar because it is one of your goals. If there are other partners you feel we should be engaging with, if you are aware of other sort of timely trainings, we want to know that from you. And if you have other ideas about how to communicate it out, we are open to that as well.
Thank you, Dr. LaMarca. Yes, Commissioner.
Thank you, Dr. LaMarca. And thank you for pushing this forward for the past 2 years. I really appreciate it. Are there any incentives for different levels of professionals for taking any of these trainings? Or is there, like, for that program, is that also part of their tiers to be able to get higher salaries and things like that?
Yes and no. There are some incentives for certain employee groups. It's not to move along on the salary scale. However, certified staff does have CEU requirements, annual requirements for licensure, and so most of these will meet that kind of an expectation. And then often, especially with COVID, we had lots of grant funding, as you're aware. So during that period of time, and from time to time, educators will have a choice. You can use it for CEU, or you can get a stipend for your time. But it doesn't, it's not moving people along the scale. And I don't think, we don't have the same CEU requirements for some of our classified staff. So when we could, we were providing stipends.
This is a very bizarre question I'm going to ask. But in terms of the incentives, has anyone from a local nonprofit or anybody that had access to funds ever given an incentive directly from them as an organization? Like, let's say here's a $50 gift card to a massage or something like that. Is that?
That's actually a really good question. And to my knowledge, no, we haven't received that. However, I think we've talked a little bit about a partnership we have with Strengthen Our Community and a community task force. And their efforts are really focused around reducing chronic absenteeism, but they have a number of priorities. And one of their priorities is more mental health supports. So I do think that it's an avenue. I could certainly talk to Mike Kazmierski, Katie Simon Holland, and that group to see if that's an area in which we might have some donors. We sometimes will have donors that are just interested in one thing. And if there is someone who is interested in this, that would be great. And we'd be happy to try to do that. I think the issue is volume. So like when we've talked before, you know, most of our coaches, well, I don't know about most, but somewhere around 50% of our coaches are volunteers. But when you add up all the coaches we have, you start getting into large numbers. And so even a $20 gift, say, could end up being pretty large. But it's an avenue we can pursue.
And then one other question, is there any current data on how often these things are used? Is there a way to track how often some of these trainings are accessed?
Not a really clear one, not a really good one. Now, I say that, at least, actually, I don't know the answer to that. I'll need to come back or I'll send the group information if I can get it. Through my PGS, we probably have some tracking information. Parent University, we might have a little bit of tracking information. I would imagine Office of Suicide Prevention and JTNN do their own tracking. They don't regularly provide that to us, but we probably haven't requested it either. But I'll look into that.
Great. Any questions from our group online? Or comments? Okay. How about, no? All right. Well, Dr. Lamarca, that's really helpful, and I'm just hoping as a commission we can maybe continue to dive a little bit deeper into this and figure out how we can streamline this in terms of a recommendation later on for the board. So, thank you. Now moving on to item 2.03. Presentation and discussion of physical safety school improvements to include high school single point of entry and secure perimeter improvements, installation of vape detectors in schools, general use of restrooms and plans for retrofits, and safety security specific projects associated with the facility modernization plan. And we have Adam Searcy, Chief Operations Officer. Thank you for being here today. That's a mouthful of stuff you're going to talk to us about. So we appreciate it.
Yeah. Everything and the kitchen sink. That's the way we like our agenda titles, so we can talk about all sorts of good stuff. Hey, good afternoon. Thanks for having me. Again, for the record, my name's Adam Searcy. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for the district. So I help and support nutrition services, transportation, as well as school facilities. This is kind of an overview of what I thought we could try and cover today. Give the group a little bit of an update into what we're calling our facility modernization plan. So a little bit of a new development in terms of our capital construction program, and then talk about some of these specific topics and anything else the committee might want to talk about. So I thought, I don't always know who the new members of the commission are or whatnot, so a little bit of a history lesson, and one that I think we should all be proud of. This commission has been in service to the district for over a decade, to my knowledge, and has, struggled through a lot of really challenging, diverse topics, and has made some really meaningful improvements, dedicated, slow progress towards the never-ending objective of improving safety and security. So this was just a presentation that I found in preparing for today that was an excerpt, looks like it was presented in 2021, where we talked about a lot of initiatives that were begun well before COVID and that were projected to be completed, about now, as well as some bigger stuff that we did see on the horizon at that time. So, I highlighted a legacy of continuous improvements. That's something that I think this community should be aware of and that this commission should be proud of, as well as our ability to accelerate a lot of this work through increases to the capital funding revenue streams, primarily and specifically the WC1 sales tax funding, and then actually the COVID funding. One of my favorite, I'm just gonna take the microphone here for a second. We got the powers that be to approve the use of ESSER COVID-related funding towards mitigation of safe and healthy school learning environments to accelerate the retrofitting of high-quality soap and toilet paper dispensers in all of our schools. So one of my proudest professional achievements was eradicating squirt toilet paper from all of our schools. I feel like there's a direct through line between hand hygiene and graduation rates. But all of it matters. Like, there's layers to safety and security. Nothing's perfect, but the more good, hard work that we do, the better. We've done a lot. We're not done. So, I wanted to start off with a little bit of an overview of, again, what we're calling our 2023 facility modernization plan. I've taken to kind of putting that year of approval in front of it. This was a plan that was developed throughout 2022 and 2023. It was ultimately approved by the Board of Trustees in 2023. And it's a plan that proposes some manner of intervention, facility improvements, either a modernization, a reconstruction, or a closure, aka and repurposing across every school in our district. It's merely a plan, it's not precise or perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but at the time of approval, it was estimated to be worth just north of $2 billion and to take over 15 years to implement. So fast forward to today, we're well on our way with projects associated with each and every one of the schools listed on this slide, as well as others. I mean, there's some level of active effort being that has begun associated with every one of those schools. And the takeaway relative to this commission, again, this is a big topic I just summarized in 90 seconds. This is dominating our capital program for the foreseeable future. But the takeaway for this commission is that safety and security is a critical element of every one of these projects. So of course, if we're building a new school, aka, or as demonstrated at Vaughn, that is going to come part and parcel with all of the same newest spaces and features and designs and technologies relative to safety and security that we're putting into all of our newest schools, but also our modernizations. So Reed, Matthews, Palmer, Booth, North Valleys, we're not demolishing those schools. We're not building new schools to replace them, but we are meaningfully expanding and retrofitting the existing structure with priority to safety and security. So a few of those elements that are standard in our newest schools that are being integrated into these projects include CCTV systems at our elementary schools. You may recall, went back and retrofitted all of our middle schools and high schools with these systems, but felt really the cost benefit wasn't maybe there at our elementary school levels. There's, a lot of them, but we are building those systems into our newest elementary schools, and we have made the decision to basically include those systems as call it a base scope element into our modernization projects at all of our elementary schools. So Matthews, Palmer, and beyond should expect those types of systems. Improvements, we retrofit something in, 2013, a single point secure perimeter. We're going to come back, we're going to do a $10, $20 million modernization project at an elementary school. Reed is a $70+ million modernization project. It's going to include some upgrades to their single point of entry, to their secure perimeter, to their CCTV system, additional cameras, improved technology, all of those things. And then, of course, restrooms. There are other safety and security elements, but improved restroom safety and security, as well as retrofitting of existing restrooms, construction of new restrooms with our most modern designs will be included in all of these projects as well, elementary, middle, and high school. So that's kind of just the foundation. Again, that's what's really driving our capital facilities program at this point. Those are the major projects in that capital program. We call the slice of the pie, the portion of the overall program that isn't maybe whole school. It's replacing roofs, replacing boilers, replacing windows, our capital renewal program. So just really replacing elements of a building that maybe are worn out or need intervention or improvements. So that's where we see these types of individual projects on existing campuses. If they're not affiliated with a major project that's a part of the facility modernization plan, they're just going to be a standalone project. And so wanted to give you some highlights on these three elements that have been included for several years now and for the foreseeable future in our capital renewal program. Starting with the high school secure perimeters and single points of entry, right? As similar to our CCTV system retrofits, we've gone through and retrofitted every elementary school and every middle school in the district with secure perimeters and single points of entry, but had not tackled the complex campus operations of our high schools with these high schools or with these single points and secure perimeters. It wasn't until really this school year that we constructed unique retrofits at McQueen, DeMonte, and Sparks High School to really learn from that design, learn from the staff, learn from the students, what's working, what's not. All you know, just like all of our features, they need to work in tandem with the humans on the campus, with the students. They're not impenetrable, but they definitely do add a layer of safety to our high school campuses. So since then, we have actually designed, bid, and awarded projects at all of our remaining high schools to install secure perimeters and single points of entry ahead of the start of next school year. So again, always in tandem with a number of other elements, visitor management systems in our front office lobbies and things of that nature, but a definite and intentional hardening of the exterior perimeters. And ideally, many of them will be somewhat inconspicuous. You know, it really isn't this dramatic moat, you know, this big, beautiful wall in front of our schools. This is subtle connections between building corners of a 6-foot chain link. And so if you actually take a moment to zoom out and look at the entire perimeter, and of course that those gates are appropriately operated and locked during school hours, there is a continuous perimeter of either building with locked doors or a 6-foot chain link fence surrounding our building. So, you know, an honest person's going to find the only way to enter the school during the school day is through the front door, which then has some level of lock or additional security to get them to go to that front office first. So well on our way through our capital renewal program across all of our high schools in the district, on track for next school year. Simultaneously, we're also working on some vape detectors. That's been a topic that this commission has tackled, that our board has given us direction on, and that some of our schools have actually initiated on their own in recent school years. So we've talked to those schools, we've talked to some vendors. We are in the process of doing like an RFP, a bid for a system so that we can install these, you know, in a way that's commercial grade, that's maintainable by our district staff. And our schedule has us implementing these, not necessarily by the start of next school year, but during next school year. All of our high schools will have some level of vape detection systems installed in them, you know, by the district. So I mentioned some of our other schools took this upon themselves. This is now coming under capital projects, not coming out of the site budget. These are going to be installed with commercial grade systems that will have some level of vape detection systems in all of our high schools during next school year. So that's, you know, just like all of our initiatives, a work in progress. We're going to learn, we're going to improve, we're going to evolve, and potentially expand or really just continue to work on that opportunity. And then lastly, high school or bathroom safety and security overall. I mentioned earlier that all of our new schools and our FMP schools have come with these general use restroom designs. You guys are familiar with them at this point. You know, those are 2 bullet points, but adding them up between new schools, 9 major modernizations pre-2023, 2, and I've got 7 other new or major modernizations by the 28-29 school year. As well as when we talked about repurposing, that's 6 closed schools in the next 3 school years, wherein those students would be attending a school that is either new or modernized. So, you know, expanding the number of students who are basically going to a school that has more safe and more security elements. I mean, I lost count. We're up into the range of like 20 schools that are either new or dramatically modernized currently. That total count takes us to the 28-29 school year. So just that alone, that's the base scope that is either has been implemented or will be implemented in the next 3 years. Thousands, if not tens of thousands of students affected by those types of improvements. Never one to rest on our laurels. We are actively assessing the most cost-effective ways to retrofit our existing schools. So as you can imagine, we're balancing not only, hey, when is this school up in the FMP schedule. I don't want to, go to all that trouble only to come in 5 years from now or whatever with a major capital project. But also, what are the most cost-effective locations, bathroom locations within the existing school to be retrofitted, and what is the most cost-effective design? It's one design maybe if you're starting from scratch. It's maybe a little bit different design if you're going in and surgically kind of retrofitting. Still honoring first and foremost the privacy that is allowed these designs to be effective, but maybe coming up with some different and creative solutions. So look for some of those designs to be implemented across the next couple of school years in our existing or our modernization projects, and that more widespread implementation. And when I say implementation, I mean retrofitting of a restroom or restrooms in an existing school that is further out in the FMP program, saying, hey, waiting until 2035 for the modernization project of this school is not acceptable. I want to accelerate the retrofitting of the 3 most problematic restrooms at this school in the 28-29 school year, something like that. Identifying those and programming those into our capital renewal plan is not a next school year thing, but it's a 27-28 school year thing. So I'm over explaining that so you have a sense of, gee whiz, why can't we do this right now? I need to ask for your patience in that this is, probably a 7-figure project. If we're talking about more than one restroom, we're talking about relocating plumbing, not just knocking down walls. This is a pretty significant investment, but so are our high school's secure perimeters and single points of entry. Those were hundreds of thousands of dollars per campus. I think the design is proven. I think we're going to hear later today some of the human input. We do get requests for these types of improvements in our schools, so we are making this a priority, and we're going to figure it out. It's complicated, it's expensive, and we're going to do it. We're going to do it well. That's where we're at for those. And this is, my last slide. I just kind of wanted to end with talking about how important, I've come to understand our facilities are in building community. We sometimes, what this commission does better than most audiences in terms of talking about the humans inside the building and how they influence safety and security, and how we design our buildings and how we maintain our buildings has a direct influence on how the humans experience them and how they act within those spaces. Also wanted to highlight how technology can continue to cost effectively improve safety and security through these types of investments, and how this commission can continue to provide support to staff, to the board of trustees, and really to the public to help everyone make the wisest investments and feel as confident as possible that we are doing everything that we can and should to improve the safety and security of our schools. So that's all I've got. I'd be happy to talk about any of this content or whatever that run-on sentence of an agenda title was. Thank you.
Thank you. That was wonderful and very comprehensive. Commissioner Smith, did you have it?
I do. Thank you very much. Mr. Searcy, thank you very much for your presentation. I do have a couple of questions. Just want to clarify, and maybe because I might be a new guy on the commission from the last time this presentation was made, just to maybe go over, take me back to the Wayback Machine for a second and just see if I can ascertain some response here. How, and I'm sure you've got a process for this, I just don't know it. How are community and staff and student voices incorporated into your facility modernization and safety design processes, especially as we've had the pilots here over the last couple of years at the high schools? What does that feedback loop look like from the users?
It's multifaceted.
Okay.
Anytime we're dealing with student voice, community engagement, it's also somewhat qualitative in nature. So, I'll take you back a good bit, circa 2015. We have what we call our educational specifications that basically inform or are kind of the high-level recipe for our newest school designs. Those are composed with students, with educators, with architects, and definitely include things like CCTV camera systems in our elementary schools. That is actually also where the concept of general use restrooms came from. And it was then, those were approved in 2015, 2016. The designs, I got to be a part of the design team in 2017, 2018 going, you know, how are we going to actually build this mousetrap? Here's a recipe, but like, does it need to have a deadbolt on the door? You know, how do we feel about sound transfer? Right? It's questions like that that we wrestled with to come up with the design that we have right now. Going forward, retrofitting our schools is also, well, pardon me, the next step really then was the facility modernization plan itself. So that was accompanied by an extensive engagement program. I mean, 18 months, about as many community meetings where, you know, it was more not design element specific. It was rate these in order of importance: safety and security, access to daylight, things of that nature, and just getting a sense from the community, hey, how important is it that we invest the portion of our project budget into safety and security enhancements? That was demonstrated through that process to be valued very highly by the community. So that's where, when we say that these safety and security elements are base scope, so to speak, sometimes, you know, you get into the wouldn't it be nice to have kind of design elements. These safety and security elements are a must-have. That's those have to be achieved, and that's the direction that the FMP has given us, and that our design teams are now actively implementing. You know, and then beyond that, or really up to kind of the bleeding edge of where we are, this is what we're doing, the sausage we're making on a monthly basis or whatever. Hey, how are these restrooms hit? What about this vaping epidemic? You know, how do we mitigate the current areas of need? What about visitor management systems? So this element of continuous improvement that today is now informed by student voice, by the commission, and through a variety of other channels that help inform where we go next with our facility investments relative to safety and security.
Thank you. I appreciate that there is a process of getting feedback, and I'm really interested in not only the users of the building during the course of the regular school day, but then also after hours too, and what that does, let's say, to a fire response at a school that has one of these new secured perimeters at a high school, and does that impact the way that the community is able to respond, or first responders are able to get in there, given the fact that school police may or may not be available at the time? Any thoughts on how do we engage the community of first responders as well as the police, the school police that are engaged in the buildings?
You know, so one aspect that, I don't know, one of the original recommendations from maybe your first tour of duty on this commission was exterior door numbering. Sure. We took a painfully long time to implement that across the district, but today, as it relates to first responders, we should have every door exterior access point to our buildings numbered prominently. In terms of the secure perimeters, I mean, that's not going to slow an emergency responder down more than a pair of bolt cutters. You know, it's a 6-foot chain link fence. It's got a pretty modest little, you know, lock on it. It just keeps the person who's wandering onto campus out by and large. And then of course these are all permitted through our agencies. So, you know, our fire departments, our building inspectors, all of those folks, it meets those standards. Our Knox box access points, All of those are compliant with building code and fire code and things of that nature. So in terms of, the more traditional like surveying of first responders, I don't know that we typically go that direction. It's more formal permit review, that type of nature.
So hopefully the responding units have already walked the building as we would expect them to do. And that's something that they would do in their normal course of business.
Yep, driving around the fire access loops,
Exactly. All that.
anything and everything that's required annually.
Yeah.
Forget about the fire sprinkler inspections and those types of things that are also a part of just our routine building maintenance and operations.
Good. I've got one more.
You bet.
So the criteria that we use to modernize and install safety projects in the schools, there is, I would imagine you've got a standard in the FMP that you look at for this criteria, that these are the schools that are up because of X, Y, and Z factors. Can you explain a little bit about what those factors are, so just I have an understanding of how we prioritize the schools that are going to be in the chute for the next year?
Sure. That's a good question, actually, because as opposed to our capital program being primarily driven by capacity demands in years past, hey, these schools are overcrowded, I need a new school in this area, that's really no longer the case. The FMP, the prioritization of the FMP was driven more by the age of the facility, and the condition of the facility, as well as some socioeconomic variables. So you're going to see projects on there in communities served by Matthews, by Vaughan, by Palmer, prioritized ahead of some of the maybe upper middle class suburban areas where we've been putting our investments to in the past. So I'm really looking forward to hopefully some of the academic and social impacts that these new public facilities are going to have. So again, always a complex combination of variables. Age, there was also, there's some logic behind it. We're not going to try and bounce around the district too much. We're in the Vaughan is somewhat inextricably intertwined with Pine, okay, and the elementary schools that feed up to Vaughan, Trainer and Sparks Middle School, also are of a similar age and type and demographically similar, so those are more or less aligned in the FMP master schedule. So you'll see schools like Mendive, even Clayton, which a fairly old school, but relative to the schools that I've just mentioned, is actually quite a few years out there. It's not exactly age-based, but a combination of age and need. It was really what drove the prioritization. And then it was, what type of facility intervention do we advise? Is it a modernization? Is it a reconstruction? Or in some cases, like in the area where I'm talking about right now, Veterans and Corbett have been approved to be closed and repurposed. So some schools, that was more, again, a combination of age and condition of the building as well as under enrollment, and just really our ability to meet the needs of the enrollments in those areas with the existing or the modernized facilities that we will have through this program.
Very good. Thank you. I just have to say one more thing. As a former teacher and administrator in the school district, and being a part of this before any of these enhancements were instituted, but we dreamed about them, it is very great that you all are doing this work, and it is coming about in the way that we had dreamed about, and thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Commissioner
Reed, for the
Figueroa?
record, I also just wanted to kind of show my support for this. As a student, I know a lot of my peers and stuff were always like worrying about like safety, and I really like seeing how safety is being taken more into consideration now, especially in the bathroom. I know a lot of my peers keep talking about how they kind of feel unsafe when at the bathroom, and also with like the vaping issue that goes on in the bathroom. I think tackling that's a very big step into like making a safer school environment for students to like focus on learning. So I just really want to say like thank you for all the work that's being done.
I just have a question that's probably lowest on totem pole, but when you think about like feelings of belongings and feeling pride in your school, where does aesthetics come in to some of these older schools that like might not be on these plans, and or is there different funding or different availability for funding for schools to upgrade the aesthetics of the school without having to go through large processes like this? It is. Okay.
I mean, I want to highlight that there is a very conscious connection between the architectural aesthetics and the safety and community associated with our new schools in particular, as well as our modernized schools. This is real. I appreciate the question, honestly. You look at some of our newer schools and you see more open spaces, and you see more transparency, you see more windows. And this is, a real difficult sort of juxtaposition to reconcile as an architect, and when you're wrestling with safety and security. You're like, I want less transparency, less visibility, and you speak to the architects and they'll say, actually, we want less isolation. We want to be able to see everybody in our building. We don't want anybody to be able to seclude themselves, either because they're going to do something they shouldn't, or because they just want to be alone. That's not ideal from a community and a safety and security standpoint. So that's really like the basis of design of our newest schools. When we look at our modernization projects, I think you'll see us look for opportunities to inject those types of design principles into our existing schools. Obviously, we're working within the existing framework of a building, but also aesthetically a little bit, there's probably a better way to say this, but a wow factor. So you're going to see at Bernice Matthews, you're going to see at Reed High School, some design, some aesthetic improvements that, they're expensive, but relative to brick and mortar construction, they're not near, they're quite cost effective. And what that is intended to inspire is, an attitude shift, a sense of pride, a sense of enthusiasm that is the difference between a kid coming to school and not coming to school, is the difference between a kid being excited to learn or being apathetic, or is the difference between vandalizing their school and treating it with respect. It's intended to be a physical catalyst for a culture change that is to be led really by everyone in that building. It's some pretty aspirational words here. We're going to do our best to try to, from a facilities point, create that. But in a perfect world, that creates a safer and more secure school environment if the mindset and the culture of the entire building is changed because of the message and the signals that space is giving back to the humans.
Thank you. That was exactly what I was getting to with that.
Somewhere an architect who taught me that is maybe not embarrassed by what I just said. It's hard. These, it's not like flipping a switch.
Yeah.
It takes a lot
But
of
I think recognizing that is important is something that we can then take a look at for all the schools about how we can improve the aesthetics, because it does build a culture of safety and belonging.
Yeah. Commissioner Porter?
Thank you, Commissioner Porter, for the record. I just have a couple clarifying questions for you. A couple times you said renewal and then retrofit. What is the difference between when you're renewing a school versus retrofitting a school? Is it meaning the same kind of thing?
Yeah, those
Okay.
terms should be perceived to be synonymous.
Okay.
I should have just stuck with modernization.
Okay, I was just wondering if that was on the schools that, you just need to kind of
I
have
didn't mean
additional
to
things.
imply a difference
Different
or
things. Okay.
distinction.
And then when we're talking about the single or the perimeters, I think you sort of answered this a little bit, but I just wanted more clarity. Because when you're talking about a high school campus, for example, is it you're trying to secure the building proper, or have a fence that goes all the way around all the practice fields and the football fields and everything? What does that look like for you guys as you're planning that?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I don't know. I will speculate that it is the buildings and grounds.
Okay.
That there should not be anyone entering the campus from outside the back 40 softball fields or whatnot.
Okay.
I'm not as intimately familiar with the designs, but I'm pretty sure it's, this is active campus. So they might be out there on recess. They might be playing softball as a part of their PE curriculum. Anywhere on that campus that the kids could be during school hours is protected by a locked perimeter fence.
Okay. What does that, and you might not have an answer for this, but I know some areas are used for community, either like practices, Pop Warner, that kind of thing. What does that look like then if it's completely locked down? Is it just during school hours?
Yep.
Okay. So those are
Yeah,
different.
it's, there's many exceptions to the rule, but in a perfect world, the school staff are locking and unlocking appropriate access points at the start of the school day and at the end of the school day. Sometimes, there's lots of exceptions to that, but the way it's intended to be operated is that during school hours, this is for exclusive use of that school. And if you want to enter that campus, you're going through the front door of the school building. Outside of school hours, certain gates are unlocked for unscheduled community use or scheduled community use. Yeah.
Okay. And then I want to see, did you say this was a 10-year plan? How long, is that right? Or was it longer?
15.
15, okay, okay. And then.
And that's going as
Ambitious?
fast as we possibly can.
Yeah, it's a lot of schools.
Yeah.
And I'm curious how you guys are tackling, like you mentioned Devontae Ranch High School, their office is in the middle of the school, right? Some of those ones that aren't anywhere near like a front or back door or anything like that. How do you create a single point of entry with schools like that?
Well, so Devontae Ranch High School was retrofitted with a secure perimeter and a single point of entry. We produced a cool video on it last year. I don't know if you've been there. It's basically a closed circuit camera.
Oh, great.
So there's like a Ring doorbell kind of set up.
Yeah.
You come into the vestibule and somebody's going to communicate with you virtually from the office and buzz you in. Long term, as a part of the modernization of Devontae Ranch High School, it hasn't been designed yet. Actually, North Valley's high school is the first one of that design type per the FMP. But what was conceptually proposed for those types of schools is basically, if you're familiar with the school layouts there, up near the front door on the same side of that entry corridor is the library.
Yeah.
And so basically flip-flopping the admin spaces with the library, putting the library closer to the center, the heart of the school, maybe where it should be academically, and pulling those admin spaces up towards the front door. Then we can, I mean, now you're talking about, a $70 million construction project.
That's
but
what I was wondering, because if you were having to move completely, offices, that would be much more expensive, I would imagine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, the North Valley's High School Modernization Project will be up there along with Reed High School in the $70 to $100 million. I mean, we're adding classrooms. We're adding these types of hub spaces that you see in the new Proctor Hug High School, as well as many other features. But that's a big one is, having that admin, 200 feet away from the front door,
right.
really is not super compatible with that traditional single point of entry. So the right way to resolve that is to completely move some people around. And I think that's going to benefit academically also, putting the library where the admin is now.
Yeah, that's very creative. Okay, good. Thank you.
You bet.
Any questions online? No, doesn't look like any. I had one quick question for you. So, in terms of the feedback loop of getting responses from folks in the community, it sounds like that takes place at pretty discrete periods, or is there a general like mailbox or email or something that folks can access if, let's say, I don't even know if this is correct to go to your office, but I've heard from different, parents at different schools, like at this particular school, we're always seeing people kind of access, the school facility not through that single point of entry. Was that something that should go to your office, or is there a better place to maybe funnel those folks?
That specific hypothetical would ultimately get routed to the site, the campus administrator, your principal, your assistant principal, your lead custodians. Those are the folks that are going to be really operating the campus on a day-to-day basis. But, it's worth mentioning, like, this is just the big stuff in our program. I mean, if there's a safety and security related specific issue, hey, the lock on this bathroom stall is broken. There's so many layers to the organization, right? That's a maintenance work order. Maybe the custodian can fix it. Maybe our in-house carpenters can fix it. Maybe we have to issue a small construction contract for it. All of that stuff's going on simultaneously, similar to feedback. So depending on who it is, who they feel most comfortable with, they could email me directly. There's a generic, capital projects at Washoe Schools type of email account. There's meetings like this for capital projects or an advisory committee capital projects. Lots and lots of ways. Take it however the individual feels comfortable offering it.
That's you so much. And thank you for, I just want to say, it sounds like you all are doing really thoughtful sort of work, and that's pretty incredible, and that has a big impact. So thank you for coming and sharing that with us today.
Can I add to that too?
Yes, please.
I would absolutely echo that. Very thoughtful, but I get your sense of urgency. I can tell in the way that you are presenting it and how the plan is. And as a parent representative, I really appreciate that there's an urgency around it as well. I think that's really apparent. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now on to item 2.04. This one is for presentation and discussion only. This is of the bathroom practices being used at the Washoe County School District. So an add to what we've just heard, and this is presented by Dr. Paul LaMarca.
Thank you, Chairperson Sanchez. For the record, Paul LaMarca, Chief Student Services Officer. This is one of your goals, or the board has asked the commission to think thoughtfully about bathroom safety. It was kind of tied previously to some of our conversations around vape detection, and that is clearly a part of it, but that's not all of it. However, I had some hesitancy bringing this because we need to create some sort of recommendations for the board that are meaningful. So this is, I think, is a work in progress. We're going to share some information with you, some information we collect, we have in our systems, some informal survey information that we receive from principals. And then at the end, as long as the chair is open to it, we will probably bring students to you next meeting. The Student Advisory Committee for the district, one of their major projects is around bathroom safety. And I think that maybe hearing directly from them would be a benefit to you as you consider forming some recommendations for the Board of Trustees. So with that preface, again, this does fit into one of your goal areas. So good for you. You're working on your goals. So I think you all know that annually, and for many years now, for over a decade, we've done climate surveys. We do them with parents, we do them with students, we do them with staff. This comes from the student surveys, and there's a number of safety-related questions. Here I just snapshotted two of them, and that is overall perceptions of safety at school and perceptions of safety in restrooms. And you can see that across elementary, middle school, and high school, and across the years, there's a significant difference in perceptions. Students feel less safe in the restrooms than they do in the school as a whole, pretty significantly. This is data. We also collect information within our system around what we call major student behaviors as well as minor student behaviors. So major behaviors are significant behaviors. It can be a number of minor behaviors that are repetitive, so they become a major behavior, but we're also talking here about fighting, vaping, inappropriate language use, so a variety of different things might fall into the category of major behaviors. So these bar charts were very difficult to put together. I always kind of worry about the displays of information, so they're a little misleading. So what you have is a stacked bar, and the scale is not complete. What this is telling you is that in terms of where major behaviors are actually occurring within schools, it's pretty infrequent that they're occurring within bathrooms. At least that they're being detected and then dealt with because of the situation in a bathroom. We don't have cameras within bathrooms, so there are some things that are happening in bathrooms that go undetected. But relative to some of the other places within our schools where major behavior is occurring, it's relatively infrequent. By contrast, about 30 to 40% of all of the major behaviors are occurring where? In the classroom. So I'm not at all suggesting there's not a safety issue in bathrooms, but I am just trying to provide for you some of the information that we do have. This is available to all of our school administrators as well, and so they can look at this and they can look at all the different places within their school where behavior is occurring, and they can create plans to address that, and they do, and that's good news. So this is just information that you might want to take a look at later. There are a number of significant behaviors that are occurring in our bathroom, and probably a lot that are going undetected, and we need to take that very seriously. So we did reach out to a number of principals. You heard from principals on a couple of occasions at the end of last year. So these are different principals. We reached out to 4 high schools. We reached out to 3 middle schools. One of the schools is one of the newer buildings that Mr. Searcy was describing. And so that's the only one of the 7 that has these single stall bathrooms, these general use restrooms. We asked them a number of questions, and they're really kind of open-ended questions. This is not at all a scientific survey, but it's good information from us. These are our users. So among our middle schools, 1 of the 3 felt as if this is a high area of concern. Couple of them felt it's not a huge area of concern. One of those 2 was the one with the newer bathrooms. At the high school level, it was flipped. So 3 of the 4 schools felt like it's a very high concern. 1 felt it was a medium concern. Now, Chris knows this. You guys know this. A medium concern is still a huge concern. So it's not we're saying no concern. It's still a big concern. It has to be dealt with. One of the questions that we're interested in, because we hear this a lot from students, and at first it always makes me kind of think, "Ooh, that's a bad thing to do," but then is it? All of our schools have had to limit access to restrooms at parts of the day, and they're doing that as part of their strategy to deal with safety issues. But that's important information for us to know. All of our schools, or not all of our schools, 2 of our high schools, I think they actually, it could have been the wording in the question. All but 2 of our schools said they have a uniform approach to bathroom safety, and that they feel pretty confident that all of their teachers, all of their staff are applying the approach consistently. A couple of our schools didn't indicate that there's a uniform approach, but you'll see that they all were able to identify the strategies that they're using. So it could be that they thought the question was asking, do you have one approach as opposed to more than one approach? So these are some of the strategies that our schools are regularly using. And we asked them just to indicate 2 strategies, and many of them could articulate 5 right off the bat. So some are using sign in, sign out sort of processes within classrooms. They're limiting when students can go to the bathroom during passing or during the first few minutes of class or the last few minutes of class. That'll vary. Some schools it's 5 minutes, some schools it's 10 minutes, but they have a uniform policy within their school. They're doing bathroom sweeps, and I've been on some of these sweeps, and you do find things in the bathrooms that are very concerning, but they're regularly making sure the bathrooms are clean. Variety of dedicated staff that are always roaming the halls. So there's campus supervisors are a more common position in our secondary schools. And in some of our schools, basically their rule is you cannot be in your office during the day. You have to be roaming at all times. And they're especially going into bathrooms, like if they see a few, it's usually boys, but a few boys going to the bathroom at the same time, they're going to go and see what's happening in there. This one on repairing issues in bathrooms as soon as possible, this was only brought up by one principal, but I think this is really important. It gets to the question that you asked, Ms. Zucker, and Adam talked about it in his slides as well. When the students know you care and that you're fixing problems as soon as they occur, that gives them a sense of confidence that things are being taken seriously. I think this is an area that we want to work on potentially. Restore at the door is it's a process. So just stereotypically what happens, a kid gets in trouble in a classroom and the teacher sends them off to the office, and then they take their time and they get to the office and they get in trouble. So a few of our schools, instead of doing that, if there's a problem, the teacher can call administration. Administration goes to the classroom itself, and they work with the student right outside the classroom to minimize disruption in instruction. And so some of our schools are doing this when kids are perhaps signing in or out to go to the bathroom, and then they come back too late, and so they're doing that at the door to figure out what's going on. And of course, installation of vape detection. We have a couple more schools than Adam had mentioned that are kind of taking this on by themselves, but it's good news that we're getting ahead of that. We also asked the schools how we could support them, and all the schools except for the one school that already has it says retrofit our bathrooms. So again, great that Adam's group is already in front of that. It's going to take time, but we're getting there. And that's important. That's not a fail-safe. It's not as if Hug High School, Desert Skies, or other newer buildings don't have problems in bathrooms. They do, but they're minimized, and it's probably maybe a little bit safer for some of the kids who are worried about going into a general purpose. Well, I guess that's what you call it, general use. You know what I'm talking about in terms of a large bathroom with multiple stalls. We have a couple of schools that are very interested in more technological strategies, and they just don't have the Wi-Fi to support some of it, so they're asking for that kind of a thing. And then as they want more dedicated staff, and we are in a budget deficit, so we can always make recommendations about more dedicated staff, but this is probably not a good year for that, just given where we're at as a district. And then again, and Adam's group is in front of this, and you guys made that recommendation sort of, at least you included it in your policy recommendations around substance use prevention. Vape detection is being installed in all of the high schools. It's going to take a little bit of time. So we did, and this is preliminary, we have more work to do here. We tried to look to see if there are some innovative things happening nationally that you might consider as recommendations to the Board of Trustees. Clear district guidance on what happens if there's a problem in the bathroom. And this may just look like words. This might be an important thing. So, you're all familiar with kind of the idea of hate crimes. So if you have an assault, that's one thing. If it's an assault that's motivated by hate, that often comes with greater penalty. So if we are able to really articulate that if there are problems in the bathroom, you know, along our sort of progressive discipline line, we're going to move forward. That might be a good, you know, sort of a, you know, stick approach to bathroom safety, but you got to do both, carrot and stick. So we think this might be an area to look at, working with our behavioral department on some clearer expectations around bathroom safety. School expectations, same sort of a thing. Our schools all pretty much have, through positive behavior interventions and supports, they've got some kind of like mottos and things that they all stick to, and they can do a good job within their environment about the importance of safety in bathrooms. So attached to that might also be information for students on how to carry those messages forward. Providing students opportunities to share what they're experiencing in bathrooms. We do the climate surveys, those happen once a year, and those are anonymous. Our administrators might want that information a little bit more regularly so they can track what they're doing. That's about it in terms of some of the national highlighted practices. So in terms of next steps, as you heard, we're installing vape detection, and so thank you for that. We'll work with the behavior department. If the chair would like, we will bring students and have them talk with you next time, and then we can work on some recommendations to the board. If we feel like there are meaningful recommendations, I don't think that there's no point in making recommendations unless we feel strongly as a commission on a couple that we think would put us forward as a district. So that's that presentation. Happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Thank you,
Try to.
Dr. Lamarca. And I really appreciate the data, as you know. I very much appreciate you asking and pulling those other principles that really rounds out some of the other presentations that we've seen. So I really like that. Are there any comments, questions from the commission? Commissioner Porter.
Thank you for that, Dr. Lamarca. That's really helpful. I have a couple of questions. When you are talking about major behavior, can you define that? What does that major behavior mean?
It's a behavior that is disruptive significantly. It can be violent. It doesn't always have to be violent. So there's definite disruption to instruction as a result of the behavior. So it's not two kids just talking in class or messing around. It's a fight. It's smoking in the bathroom. It's cussing someone out. There's a variety of things. Our behavior manual lists out a ton of what we consider major behaviors.
Okay. I would be a big fan of having the students come and share their experiences. Just what I've heard anecdotally, myself, students, their parents, is that it's more around vulnerability and embarrassment and cleanliness in the bathrooms that it makes it feel unsafe. So I think we might need to think about that a little bit differently. So I'd be really curious to hear about them. Question on the vape detection installation. When we have these general use bathrooms, there are individual stalls, right, floor to ceiling situation. Is there a vape detector in every single stall, or is it out on the outside and then you can smell, like, how does that work when it's a little bit more of a closed environment?
So the ones at AACT and McQueen,
Yeah.
so you have what I think they call them like gang bathrooms. So there's one bathroom, there's multiple urinals, perhaps maybe a couple of stalls, but they're only divided by like a little bit of metal.
Yeah.
The vape detection is in the center,
Yeah.
and it's above. We now put cages around them because students
be
were
messed with.
very quickly tearing them down.
Totally.
They can actually be installed with cameras, but we don't, that's not something that we're advocating, but they're centralized.
Yeah.
So that's actually one of the problems with the general use bathrooms.
That's what I was
It's
wondering.
like, how would
Yeah.
you put one in every single stall? And I don't think that would probably be cost effective.
Right.
And there's other means. You watch who's going in and how long they're in there. None of these things, and Adam said it, the perimeter fencing, it's a deterrent.
Right.
It's not going to stop someone who's a bad actor. at least not if they want to act badly. And that's the same with vape detection.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
There it goes. Any other questions, comments? Okay, yeah, I think we're in favor of having the students, so thank you, Dr. Lamarca. On to our last item, item 2.05. This is for presentation, discussion, and possible action to approve the release and/or revise the draft videos and scripts for gun safety and potential future video topics related to safety and security. And we have Andy Castaneri back to present to us. Good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me again, Andy Castaneri for the Record Communications Department. Okay, so I think we've managed to get exactly where we want to be with this firearm safety video. We made the adjustments we talked about, sort of positioning it. Someone you know very well appears in the video. So if you're ready to watch it, we have a link and we'll see what you think.
When it comes to pediatric firearm safety, we have to realize that firearms are the leading cause of death for children across America. My name is Jorge Montano Figueroa. I am the Pediatric Injury Prevention Specialist for Renown Children's Hospital, and I serve on the Safe and Healthy Schools Commission for Washoe County School District. It's very important to have a conversation about this message because here in our community, we've also seen an uptick not only in occurrences, but also in severity of the injuries secondary to firearm injuries in our youth.
Every day, families in Washoe County do what it takes to keep kids safe. One powerful step we can take at home is secure firearm storage.
We're looking at some of the confiscated items that we've taken off of students, either students, adults, or parties that have come onto our campus. It's completely illegal to possess a firearm on any school district property in the state of Nevada.
When students bring weapons to school, especially firearms, the consequences are serious.
It's certainly one of the more extreme referrals we see in our agency when it comes to firearms. And with that comes at times a pretty extreme response.
That response can include both school discipline and legal penalties.
Up to 200 hours of community service. They can potentially lose their driver's license for up to a year. The parents are often involved in terms of making sure that their child is coming to court hearings. With those court hearings often comes appointments with probation officers or case managers. Sometimes there's treatment involved with that. And in our most extreme circumstances, they're removed from their family or from their home in general and sent for correctional care.
Parents also have a critical responsibility and can be held civilly and criminally responsible if it's found they are negligent in keeping firearms secured. And the research is clear. Safe storage makes a life-saving difference.
Households that keep firearms unloaded and locked and stored separately from ammunition are 70% less likely to have any kind of unintentional gun shooting or gun death occur.
Be Smart for Kids is the Northern Nevada branch of a national campaign launched in 2015 to promote responsible gun ownership.
We're nonprofit, non-policy oriented, non-political. We just are in the business of informing adults, sharing materials and resources to keep our community safer and our kids alive.
One key strategy is helping families feel comfortable talking about firearms. Another is teaching young people what to do if they encounter a gun.
We recommend that parents have that conversation with their kids before it happens rather than after, so they don't have to try to make a decision in the moment.
You can save a life, whether you're a gun owner or not, whether you're a parent or not. We must remember that keeping children safe is all of our responsibilities, and the way you do that is by ensuring, if you're a firearm owner, that you secure your firearm properly, and if you're not, by asking others around you how their firearms are stored and ensuring that they're under some securing method.
Together, we can keep our kids safe in school and at home. Secure storage saves lives.
Love seeing someone from our commission on that. Very, very cool. And Commissioner Flores' office also represented in there. So that was great. What questions, comments, feedback do you all have? Commissioner Porter.
I think it's great. I think you took the feedback. It was very focused on parents and the parents' role in keeping kids safe. Good with anonymity throughout, which was important as well. So I think you did a wonderful job. Yeah.
Commissioner Smith.
Thank you, Commissioner. Chris Smith, for the record, great job as well. I would say that what I liked about it was it was informational. It wasn't prescriptive. It wasn't directing people to do something that maybe they philosophically disagreed with, because really there was nothing to philosophically disagree with here. It's about what was good for children. So I think it was a perfect message. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yeah, we tried to sort of cross all the T's, dot the I's. We know that this is, of course, a touchy subject for some people, but we also know the facts. And we also know that we've been saying this message for a long time. We're still having problems, so we have to keep delivering the message. And if it changes one habit, it's good. It's a little longer, this video, than average videos. Also, the average attention span is shrinking. But we really wanted to include all the, well, it is, right?
Yeah.
We like things in 30 seconds. But we wanted to include everything, that there are criminal liabilities, civil consequences, of course, the actual danger to our youth. I will tell you that the communications department is on board with how this was created and developed now. Also, counseling department took a look at it, and they were in approval as well, as far as the message in our students here. So that's nice. We talked about the resources, and what we thought would be best with that is, instead of embedding it into the video, that it would be sort of in the comments section or the caption or that. And then if you guys approve at this point, the next step for us would be to translate into Spanish and then really just begin posting it and sharing it.
Wonderful. So looking for, if there's no more discussion, I'm open to discussion, but otherwise a motion. Yes,
I just
Commissioner
have one
Porter.
question. On the 2 stock photos that you have in there, is there any room for exploration of different stock photos, or are those actual district photos? It looked like they were stock photos, were they?
Stock photos, again, it's that protecting our
yes,
children.
of course.
But what were you hoping, what changed? Because, I mean, there are multitudes of stock photos, so what were you hoping to?
Just, on the one with the family, it looks like the parents are upset with the kid. Like, there's a look on the face of a little bit like he's in trouble, and so that struck me a little bit. Again, these are minor things. If they're not changeable, it's not going to hurt the thing. And then the other one, the dad and the kid, I don't know if it's AI or what, but his foreground looks a little bit blown out versus the dad. They don't look like they're in the same photo. Like the color correction or something about that's a little different. So just because I do this for a living, I just can't, that kind of stuff. So that's just where my eye went. So if there's opportunity to maybe switch out for maybe a little higher quality stock photos in those 2 places, that would be my only recommendation.
And the one with it was a little boy studying and his parents looked upset. Is that the one?
Yes.
That
So
you're
mom and dad are
thinking?
standing behind. Mom's in like a green, looks like pajama
Jumping.
set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So if we found quick fixes, everybody would be agreeable to just swapping them
Yeah, there's those 2 photos.
without a next, like.
I don't think it needs another.
No,
view.
I don't think it does, but we'll put that in the motion.
Yeah.
Yep. So is there a motion?
I'll make my motion.
Make your motion, girl.
I am a motion that we approve the video with the stock photo changes if available, and that you can then move forward without further approval from this committee.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion. This is Annie Zucker.
Fantastic. Is there any public comment on this item?
No public comment.
Great. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Great. Thank you, Andy.
Well, thank you. I appreciate all the input. I know this one took a little longer, but it needed it. So thank you, everyone, for the input and participation, because we had juvenile services, we had Renown, and everyone. So again, marketing-wise, I think it might give us some leverage because we have sort of community involvement,
No, that's great.
One other thing that I have on the agenda for us to look forward, I'm going to pull this up here, and this document will be emailed to you guys because it will take a little more time, maybe separately. These are videos, safety-related videos that exist on our platform now. At the top, I have the ones that we've been working on for this past year, the mental health, the substance misuse, traffic safety, and then, again, coming soon, the one we just approved. So those were ones that over the past year the commission's worked on. We have, again, back to school means back to safety. That's a new one that communications has put on there. We have winter transportation procedures, responsible threat reporting. That one was made in 2022 but updated recently. And then, as you see, 2 years ago, there's the walking school bus, resource centers, active emergencies explained. That is a video as well. That was made in 2024, so not that old. 4 years ago, we had healing through health, trauma-informed, connecting to prevent suicide from a virtual forum. And then I have some links also that we have the Safe and Healthy Schools Toolkit. That one has a breakdown into physical safety, vaping, digital safety, social and emotional health and safety. Those are resources. A lot of them have links to other resources available. And then there's the Safe Firearms Storage. That one doesn't have this video, but it does have the NRS, which twice a year we do inform our families about, and because of the statute of this, the mandate for safe storage, that's on there. So it's an opportunity. Again, it takes a little time to sort of click and look through the videos to see if something looks old, and the commission would advise on changing it or removing it. We do try and keep them updated and not have old ones with the links, or if there's something missing that we want to add.
No, I appreciate the list. I think if we can, as a commission, maybe just take some time in between now and the next meeting, look at some of them, especially some of those of us with a keen eye for that sort of detail, then that would be helpful for us to think about maybe future videos or any changes that we might recommend. Dr. LaMarca?
I just wanted to mention, I believe, I don't know if it was Ms. Zucker or Ms. Porter, but someone made a recommendation around a video around our policies. And maybe if you could take the time to maybe articulate really what you want from that. We talked about it when you first recommended it, but we couldn't make it actionable. So if you have more thoughts, more specificity, that would help us kind of put our heads together and try to come up with something.
I was going to say, this is about the list of topics, so this could be one of them.
Commissioner Zucker.
Just a question on that. Is there a list of the policies somewhere on the Washoe County School District website?
There is.
Okay.
When you go to Board of Trustees, you can go to what's called policy.net. You can find all the policies, all the regulations, all the procedures, all the forms.
Okay.
So it's all there, but it's
how we market it.
Lengthy list. I mean, there's 20 of each.
Okay.
It's a lot. And probably 40 of each, actually. Yeah.
So, Commissioner Porter, for the record, is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. The intention of that was, to your point, it's just a lot of, crossing your eyes. You're not going to read through all of that. So having a video where it's a little bit more digestible. Some of the things around how snow days are determined, when they're called, when they're not. Thankfully, knock on wood, we don't have these anymore, but the smoke day shenanigans that we had for a while. When we had Brad wildfires, the early out for Wednesdays, the teacher training. What does that entail? How does that help our students? How does that help our teachers? Some of those policies that sometimes feel are just done without the why. And I think that's a lot of parents would really appreciate the why behind some of those things that really impact how our kids get to school and are in school.
And I would also just add to that really quickly that policy, if we're going to make a video around that, maybe that just walks somebody through how to find out about a policy, because I think that's, just that really kind of user-friendly, how do we reach parents who are like, I don't even know where to look for something.
Okay, that helps a little bit. So you're really talking about things that may have an impact on families, and and they don't know why we're choosing to do it. Connect Ed messages might fall into that. I mean, some of our schools do those every Sunday, and I know some people don't understand why that's important.
It could actually be really fun because it's a lot of why did the district do this? That's really and there's a reason. There's always a reason behind it, and how do we show people how they can go find the reason instead of maybe complain on social media
Yes,
about it.
absolutely. Yes, because that's what happens is there's no why, and so then people just pipe off, and it just creates all kinds of drama we don't need.
Okay, we can put our heads together. I mean, we got to build it around safety. So
Yeah.
it's got to have a nexus to this commission. But yeah, I think it's a good idea. I just didn't take good enough notes, I guess.
Well, and I think you could make the argument that, you know, in terms of safety, that if parents feel like they are understood and and they can access things for their child, that helps your mental health. And good parent mental health helps a child's mental health and helps their sense of belonging and safety because there's trust with the school district then. I'll find the mental health bridge. Great. All right. Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you.
Well, with that, we will end at 3:29. I just throwing it out. I was just so excited. I was like, let's just end on a high. So item 3.01 is public comment. Sylvia, do we have any public
No
comment?
public comment.
Great. So with that, we will then end the meeting at, I need to announce our next meeting. I get so excited again. 3.02 is February 2nd, 2026 will be our next meeting. Looking forward to seeing you all then and hope you guys all have a nice holiday. And thank you for being here today. I know it was kind of hard with the holiday season, so I appreciate you guys coming and making quorum. So with that, I think I took us directly to 3:30. Yeah, there we go. All right, this meeting's adjourned.
Thank you.